What up, people? It's your boy. I'm back again. I'm gonna tell you, the Batman. If I'm gonna be totally honest, I did not think Robert Pattinson could pull it off. I just didn't think that he had the look. I didn't think he would have the motivation needed to become Batman. I just didn't think he could do it at all. I just was not feeling it, but I was wrong. He did a pretty good damn job. Here's why. Tune in.
Here we go.
And here we go. Before we get into the review of the Batman, let me just do this little thing for me. And please, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I don't want you to miss anything that I upload. So hit that notification bell because when I upload, it's a ding and let you know I'm on the air. Also, leave a thumbs up. Thumbs down don't matter anymore now. Thank God. And also leave a comment because you leave a comment, I try to read it and respond back to you. And I appreciate all the comments that you send in. I really appreciate the continued support that you give my channel. Now, I'm going to get into it. The Batman. This movie, I was a little conflicted before I saw it because I didn't think Robert Pattinson really could just do it. I didn't have any faith in him. In my mind's eye, I could only see him as Edward the Vampire on Twilight. And I was like, I don't see him being the badass Batman. I don't see him doing that. I just didn't. But I was pleasantly surprised. I'm admitting I was wrong. I think he did a fantastic Batman. Not so much Bruce Wayne, but I get into that a little bit to explain my thought process on that. Um, this right here, of course, is a full spoiler, but this is year two Batman. And let me put that let me frame this a little bit for you. Year two Batman is not going to be the polished Batman we've seen in 1989, um, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, Ben Affleck's Batman, even the campy Adam West Batman. He's not going to be that because in all those versions, except for the first The Dark Knight Begins, he is year two in this movie. He's year two. This is the second year doing it. He's writing down his journal. He's still got that anger. Is fresh in his mind of his parents getting killed, and he is searching for the people, trying to find out what happened. He's trying to redeem the Wayne name, and he's just driven at doing that. He don't even worry about the business. In a certain part of the movie, Alfred's telling him, "Man, we got to worry about this. If you don't, you're gonna lose your family's legacy." He don't care. He said, "I don't care. I'm focused on this. Being Batman is fixing my family's legacy." So right now he's driven on that, and that goes along with if you're gonna translate this to real life. When we first start anything, when we're in our 20s and stuff, nobody can tell us nothing. We know everything, and it ain't gonna hurt us. We just want to do this, and this. Whatever we as if something goes along, we handle it. That's his attitude on this. Alfred was trying to be the old wise sage and say, "Look, you might want to do this, and this, because there's more aspects of being just one part of Batman. You got to worry about Bruce Wayne and his facade, but he wasn't worrying about that. Just like we do youth now, we try and tell our kids something. Uh, you don't know how it is, Dad. You don't know this. You don't know that. That's the same thing, Batman on this. So we gotta realize that first of all, this is not the Ben Affleck Batman who's been doing this for 20, 30 years. This is not Michael Keaton's Batman. This is year two of Batman. So keep that in your mind, housing group. There are some things I've heard people say that Batman wouldn't do this, he wouldn't do that. But again, it is the unexperienced, the youthful Batman, the reckless Batman in some parts of it. He just walks right in and do stuff. Knock on the door. I'm Batman. I'm a badass, and he fights his way in. And most of the time, he wins. He kicks people's ass. But that's not the smart way to do it. You ever heard that saying? Like to work smarter, not harder. Well, Batman is working harder now because he hasn't learned. He hasn't got that experience. He's coming from the youthful, inexperienced version of Batman. Now, once he becomes the Batman that we all grown accustomed to, I'm sure he ain't gonna knock on the door. He'll be able to find his way inside and do something and pop up like the Riddler did to the guy in the first scene that he killed, the mayor of Gotham. So you gotta let this version of Batman, the Matt Reeves version of Batman, you gotta let that breathe a little bit. I'm sure if they do a part two, he's gonna be better than what we saw him in part one. And I'll tell you my thoughts on how part two, what I would do if I was running the show. This Batman is more of a detective. It shows the more detective side of him. He's also, as we know, he's known as the world's greatest detective, and this shows his road on becoming that. There's some things that he could see on the crime scenes that the crime scene specialist didn't see. He saw where there was blood on the floor, where the Riddler dropped the weapon he used to kill the mayor, and Batman was able to detect it. She saw him, and she went behind him and took the picture. There was a part where there was a finger severed. Batman was able to tell that this was done when he was alive because of some kind of. He looked at the blood or the net or the wound and was able to determine that the guy was alive when he took his thumb. So he's very observant, and this is showing the first um, of his one of his many um, powers, so to speak. Batman is the master at disguises, master of disguises. He is a genius level intellect. He's the world's best detective. He's one of the world's best escape artists. He's known just about every known version of hand-to-hand combat. That is part of his repertoire. That's part of what makes him Batman. So this showcases the detective side of him. He had these contact lenses that was fire, man. He put contact lenses in, and it would record everything he see. I guess he had a listening device in his ear, or whatever, microphone. Not sure how they did that. They didn't explain that, but he could see and hear everything by wearing those contacts. He would just take the contacts off, put this on this little gadget he had in his bat cave, and it would play back everything he saw, which was very instrumental in him breaking some of the codes and the riddles that the Riddler had. Now, some people say that the Riddler was smarter than him in this, but my clap back to that is that he's just not starting. This is his first super villain he has encountered in his 2 years as being Batman. So they're not even on his radar. But now that he knows that they're on his radar, that these super villains exist, or that at least there's one, I'm pretty sure that Batman is going to start researching and knowing the people that's in Arkham. He's probably going to do a little his research on the Joker because they introduced the Joker at the end, which to me they had a missed opportunity because I would have let that be the Joaquin Phoenix Joker and tied that in, that Elseworld story tied into the other one. That's what I would have done. But I think this new Joker might be interesting. I'm not a fan of the actor that played the Riddler. The Riddler is my favorite Batman villain. I didn't like the costume with the mask and the glasses and stuff. Um, but I did like the riddles that he left, the cards and the stuff, the riddle within the riddle. I like all that. That's classic Riddler. I wish they would do a different Riddler. I'm not. I'm. He don't have to necessarily be in a one piece suit with all the question marks and the cane like Jim Carrey was. I would like at least like to see him in a green suit, the bowler cap, that kind of stuff. That's just my little nitpick. But not a fan of the actor that played Riddler until he actually took the mask off and then the interaction between him and Batman in the police station. I thought it was pretty tight. The Catwoman. The chemistry between Catwoman and Batman, I thought was very good. Um, but Batman, like I said, you could tell he liked her, but she had to initiate all the moves first and talk to him and stuff. And I really think he wanted her to stay, but he's just so focused as being Batman that. And she said at the end that he's already spoken for her. Gotham is his true love, and I think he has love in his heart for Selena, but he can't let that sidetrack him from being Batman. But Zoe Kravitz did a good job as Catwoman. I liked her. Wasn't sure about her either, but I'm not mad at her performance as Catwoman. Trying to see what else. The guy that played Commissioner Gordon, I can't think of his name, but he was awesome. Some parts realistic in the realistic world. Batman would not be able to walk in the crime scene like he did. Commissioner Gordon, if he did work with him, it would have to be definitely secret, and he would have to come in after hours or something like that, or Lieutenant Gordon, and see the stuff. The lieutenant would let him see the evidence that way, but just to walk right in blatantly like he did, that wouldn't happen in the real world. But I ain't mad at it because we know that Lieutenant Gordon is eventually going to become Commissioner Gordon, that him and Batman is going to be um, allies. So didn't not wouldn't happen in the real world, but I gotta remember this is not the real world. This is fantastic world. This is the fantasy world. This is Batman world, superhero world, comic book world. So it gets a pass. Um, One thing I thought was really stupid. Batman solving the riddles for the guy, the DA, I think was tied up, had the bomb around his neck. You seen the bomb going down, the timer going down. Why stand there? I know your armor is supposed to be like godlike armor, but I don't think I would have stand there and took that blast. Also, the fact that he was not unconscious, people would have took that mask off. I'm just saying that's not realistic. They would have took the mask off. Um, Jim Gordon would not have been able to stop 30 officers that was motivated to take that mask off and see who Batman was. But I know they got to stay with the lore and stuff and that kind of stuff. But that wasn't real realistic. My little nitpicks. Batman mask would have been removed, and also the explosion would have done more damage. But I hear people talk about the armor, and my answer to the armor being so strong is that with all his money and resources, Batman taps into his research and development part of Wayne Corps or Wayne Enterprises, and he may have contracts as we saw in Batman Begins, that saga. Batman Begins, Batman um, the Nolan Ryan series. We saw where he had all these military contracts and stuff, and then he would use different aspects of the military devices that was already developed and then change them to suit his needs. So maybe he found some kind of armor that he was able to take from the military and then upgraded him and Alfred doing their stuff and upgraded to to suit his needs as Batman. Um, Batman walking out of the tunnels. He did it on two occasions on this. The first scene was when the guys on the subway and the gangs was knocking people out for shits and giggles. Um, there was a part, man, it reminded me of um, Darth Vader coming out that tunnel on Rogue One, and you just hear him breathing. And then you see the lightsaber, you see the darkness. Batman, there was a darkness like this tunnel, and you couldn't hear nothing at first, and then you hear him stepping with his boots. He stepped with the boots, then he just comes out of darkness. And they're like, "Who the fuck are you?" And then 10 punches later, like he done broke somebody's arm and beats him half to death, beats him unconscious almost. He says, "I'm vengeance," and then he just tears into the other members of the gang. I thought that scene was awesome. The way he walked out, just hearing the boots, man, not seeing anything until like 10 seconds into the shot. Then he walks out. Suit looks good on him, man. I thought the collar on the cape was gonna be like, but I got used to it, man. His suit, to me, I like his suit. The gauntlets on his forearms, how's his shoot? I saw he used a taser. He got a taser in him, grappling hook, and it was some other kind of device or something he used. I can't remember what it is, but they're not what we used to see in. Like I said, this is year two Batman. He's not a rookie, but he's a sophomore. He hasn't learned, he hasn't become refined like the Batman we are used to and accustomed to seeing, because you're some people are saying some things, well, Batman wouldn't do this, it wouldn't do that. We're looking at this through a different person's eyes, Matt Reeves' eyes. And what he's doing, in my opinion, makes sense. How Batman is doing some things we aren't used to seeing, because he's young at doing this. He's young at being Batman. Same way in life. We young. When we're young, we do more reckless things in our youth than we do when we're grown up and more mature. Same thing applies. Whether it's superhero, whether it's real life, that same basic concept applies. You do more reckless and crazier things in your youth than you do once you become more mature and more experienced in whatever particular aspect of life you choose to take. That's generally the rule. It's not always, there are exceptions, but that's generally the basic rule. So that's what I'm using. That's the concept, and that's what I'm using to showcase or to case this Batman. He's young. He is not the polished Batman we've seen. That's why his Bruce Wayne is not good, because he's not polished yet. He hasn't realized that he needs to keep up that persona in order to hide his Batman persona even more, or to make people throw people off the trail. He hasn't learned that yet. But I think as he grows and becomes more comfortable in being Batman, more confident, he will then improve his Bruce Wayne. We just haven't seen it at this state in Matt Reeves' version of Batman. So that's what I'm saying on that. I think it's more. Oh yeah, the second time he walked out the darkness was when the attorney drove in through the funeral in the truck, and he had the phone tacked to his hand, bomb strapped on his neck, and the Riddler had riddles for him. He had to solve 3 different riddles. If he solved the 3 different riddles, then he would give him the combination to save himself, which he was lying. But the riddles reveal more dirt on the attorney, district attorney, and more dirt about how corrupt Gotham was. But there's a point where Batman walks out of the dark tunnel and he walking into it, and the police are looking at him like, "Can you believe this? He's out here doing that. He's gonna get your man killed. He's gonna get himself killed." Blah blah. He almost did get himself killed because the bomb blew up, but he learned more about the case. There's a method to Batman's madness in this movie. He does things and he learns more. He does things that the older Batman we think would naturally figure out. But like I said, this is showcasing his detective part of Batman. So when he does something, it's to learn more and more about it. And now, like I said, the Riddler, this is his first in this Batman universe. This is his first time encountering a supervillain. So he don't know supervillains even exist. He is just focused on the regular villains, humdrum, normal villains, crooks in Gotham, and trying to beat their ass to death, or whatever, and trying to get some form of justice. Now the Riddler has let him know that there are supervillains. Well, his logic that there's one supervillain out here, so there's probably going to be more supervillains. So I've got to up my game and learn more about him. That's what I think he's doing now, so to speak. I guarantee he's learning more about the individuals that are in Arkham. Because if you notice throughout the movie, he was asking Gordon, who was this, who was that? Or when he used that facial recognition, the contacts when Catwoman was wearing them, he was asking, no, you got to look so I can identify who they are. So he don't know who a lot of players are. But now he's educating himself to learn who the players are. And he's going to be a better version of Batman as we see him as this progresses in this universe. So don't go in there and say, well, Batman never do this, never do that. You got to remember, this is Batman year 2. He is young at this. He doesn't know what he should know and from the Batmans we've seen in the past. So just keep that in mind. Trying to think of what else. Like I said, I've seen this movie twice. One time Thursday night I saw it. Yesterday I took my grandson. He liked it. He was a little restless. This movie is not for kids under age 15, 16, I don't think. Or it depends on how well their attention span is. My grandson is 9 and he was squirming and wailing and stuff. And, Grampy, I'm tired. And he expected to see like Batman we seen from Batman 89 or even Batman versus Superman, see that kind of action and stuff. But this probably isn't a good movie for kids um, under under 15. I don't know. You know your kids better than I do. But for my grandson, he said he liked that at the end, but I could tell doing it he was a little restless. 3 hours a little bit long for him, a little bit long for a child. And to be honest, the first time I saw it, I didn't notice the 3 hours. Second time, I did notice the 3 hours, and I was like, okay. But the second time was really to try to catch things I missed the first time because I went to the bathroom a couple of times the first time. I missed certain little segments, but I was able to watch it this time and catch it. Also, I want to look at stuff and try and make sure that I can remember stuff. So when I do discuss with people, that I can be as accurate as possible. But I definitely like this movie. I definitely think that now that Gotham is underwater, and I'm going to get to that too. So people are like, why did the mayor even get shot? The purpose of the mayor getting shot is to build her trust on Jim Gordon, and also it's going to in the next movie she's going to listen. The fact that she got shot and Jim Gordon told her not to go back out there and let's get out here as safe as possible, and that he was the one that went out there and pulled her to safety. She's going to remember that. So that's going to instantly instill trust in Jim Gordon. Also, she's going to pay him back because she trusts him now, and she's going to be the one once she wins mayor to promote him to the commissioner. So that's what I think that was for. The reason why she got shot. Also, when Batman went and got the child out, and then he extended his reach to her, that too was symbolic that Batman is going to have a relationship with her as well. She's not going to be as hard as the previous commissioner because she sees what Batman is doing. Batman went throughout the city after that, was helping people, and the cops were warming up to him. So doing all that is to show that Batman is all in helping Gotham. And yeah, he has a title of vigilante, but he is really trying to help them. I think they see that now. And all that was symbolic to strengthen their relationship with each other, and that he's going to trust the mayor, and that she's going to trust Jim Gordon, and she's going to promote him to commissioner. And they're going to work all in tandem. That's what I think. I could be totally wrong, but that's what came to my mind. Also, I like the fact that the bat signal was not um, at the bat police department. And some people ask me, well, Danny, would you, being a police officer, would you stick your neck out for Batman? No, not openly. I wouldn't, because that would mean career suicide. But if I really thought Batman was trying to help, I might would feed him information on the side in this world, not real life. Let's get that separate. Let's get that, not real life. Real life, I'm playing by the books. In Batman's world, if I was Commissioner Graham instead of Commissioner Gordon, and I really think Batman was trying to help, I would definitely feed him information, but not as openly as Jim Gordon did. And if you notice, the bat signal was not at the police department. It was at a separate location that Jim Gordon drove to, and he activated the signal, not the chief, nobody else. It was not on top of GCP. Go watch it. They all both drove to locations where it was at when Catwoman activated it, and we had the cop there and was beating them up and gave them the tape where Falcone killed the Russian girlfriend, her Russian girlfriend. So it was not at GCPD. It was at a separate location. Now I think when Jim Gordon becomes Commissioner Gordon, he's going to transfer it to GCPD, so he can just go right upstairs and hit it. That's what I think is going to happen. Now, the blowing up of the I can't think the thing to hold back the water. I can't think of it. I'm sorry. And now Gotham it goes off. Gotham is underwater. The next character that I would introduce would be Killer Croc, and this would be from if you watch the Batman cartoon, Killer Croc did something like this. He blew up the levees. That's what it's called, levees, and flooded Gotham. And then he would loot Gotham because he could swim in the water. He had his team. He could go to the jewelry store and swim in the water and that kind of stuff and be undetected. That's what I would do. I would introduce Killer Croc, but this is how I would do it. He wouldn't be like, he was sort of like a regular man, maybe a scientist, doctor, whatever, and does experiments on himself and becomes Killer Croc, or he has some kind of rare disease that deforms his skin, and he gets gills, whatever, and he be amphibious. His lungs are made a different way or something, some kind of crazy freak disease or something, or adaptation, something like that. That's what I would do. Maybe not look so much alligator, but have like maybe little fangs, skin kind of scaly, whatever. You can swim in the water. I would do something like that, because, like I said, they could pull bits and pieces off the Batman because it's very similar. And on the animation, the Batman, Killer Croc, like I said, he flooded all of Gotham and was able to loot the city and stuff. And Batman had to save him. Show a lot of underwater stuff, so they kind of dabble into the Aquaman stuff. Maybe Aquaman could help him. Hey, that could be a team up some kind of way. So just thought. And what I want to finish with, is saying that this movie to me is good. I give it definitely a 9 out of 10 because I had little issues with it and stuff. But if you are a DCU fan, definitely want to go see it. If you are a Marvel fan, I think you still need to go see it. And if you're a comic book fan like I am, you definitely 1000% need to go see this movie. I definitely like it better than a lot of the current Batmans. In my ranking, man, I rank him third. Yes, I sure do. One, it will always be Ben Affleck. Two, Michael Keaton. Three would be him. Michael Keaton, man, the kind of type. Would be Robert Pattinson. Four would be who? Adam West. Five would be, four would be Christian Bale. Five would be Adam West. Six would be George Clooney, and seven would be Val Kilmer. I hate Val Kilmer. I think he's the worst out of all of them. But before I go, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it. If you haven't seen Batman, go check it out. If you haven't leave any comments, Please leave comments below. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. I look forward to reading your comments. And thank you, man, for this time. I definitely appreciate it. And until next time, peace.